Welcome back to our series of training videos to support you in administering the Provincial Numeracy Screening Assessment for kindergarten. We are moving on to the next section within this screening assessment, which is the Comparing Numbers section. So what does the Comparing Numbers task measure and how does it help us? Comparing numbers lets us know how well children are able to connect the number symbol to quantities that those numbers represent. In this task, we are looking for quick and accurate access to being able to understand the quantities that those symbolic numbers support. And this ability supports the development of other number skills, from computation to ordinal knowledge and even fractions. So let's take a closer look at this assessment. So there is just one task within comparing numbers. And for this task, you will need the following materials. You will need the teacher instructions, which have detailed instructions and scripts for you to use for this task. You will need a class set of the practice question, and you will need a class set of the test sheet, both of which are student facing, so you'll need one copy for each student. And then you will also need just one copy for yourself of the answer key so that you can total the raw score on this page. And you will need a device that you can use a 60-second timer on. This can be administered individually or in small groups, which you will have to use your professional judgment to determine what makes the most sense for the children in your program. And again, you may only allow 60 seconds for this task, not worrying whether or not students complete all of the pairs of numbers. It is very important that you ensure that the student works across the rows from left to right and that they do not skip or omit any pairs of numbers. Okay, so the first component is going to be related to the actual practice questions. And so you will provide the student with the practice page as pictured here, and you can record their name and date for them, just to simplify this part. And then you're going to say to the child, in this task, you will see pairs of numbers. Your job is to quickly cross out the larger number in the pair. We're going to start with some practice. The first two questions are already done for you. The number 4 is larger than the number 3, so the 4 has been crossed out. The number 2 is larger than the number 1, so 2 is crossed out. Which number is larger, 6 or 9? Cross out the 9. And then you would have the child continue and finish the remaining 3 practice questions. Notice the green hand and the red hand. Each of those give the student a visual prompt for where to start, where to stop, and the order in which to go from left to right. Now, once the practice page has been completed, you want to take a close look at, does the child really understand the task, and are they correctly completing the practice questions as described using the prompts above? If you notice that the child is not able to complete the practice questions, so for example, maybe the child doesn't know the number symbols yet and can't identify then which number is larger, at this point you would discontinue the test and you would mark the score as 0 without moving beyond that practice page. However, if the child is successful in showing that they understand how to complete the practice page. Then you would move on to the final component, the actual test for this task, which will be timed for 60 seconds. So now you will have a copy of the task that you are going to place face down on the table or desk in front of the child, and you're going to have another copy that you will show the child. And you're going to say, do not start until I tell you to begin. You'll show that sample page, and you're going to point out the key components as you read the script. So you will say, you will start at the green hand and work across the row. Then go to the next row. Do not skip any questions. Try to be as fast and accurate as you can. You will have 1 minute. You may not have time to finish them all, and that is okay. Do you have any questions? After answering any questions that the student may have, you can tell them to turn over your page and begin. At that point, you start your timer, and when the 60 seconds are up, you ask the child to put down their pencil. At that point, you can use that answer key to figure out the raw score for the child and record it at the bottom of the page. And that brings us to the end of our comparing numbers